So I'm going to talk about blood type as an example of why membrane proteins and their sugar modifications are so important. It's a really tangible example that you're probably familiar with. So I want to talk a little bit about the details of why there are different blood types and how they're made. It's not important for you to memorize the details of these sugars that are illustrated here, but it is important for you to understand and learn why there are different sugars on red blood cells, how this occurs, and why it's important. So for ABO blood types, remember you're going to inherit one copy of your blood type from your biological mother and one type from your biological father. So you'll have two copies of these genes. One copy may be an O blood type. So O blood type has a sugar modification on membrane proteins that is just this H chain shown here of 4 sugars. A B allele of that gene is going to have that same H chain, but it includes a terminal galactose sugar. An A blood type has the H chain, but includes a N-acetyl-galactosamine terminal sugar. And if you have AB blood type, that means that you've inherited one A and one B gene, and you'll have both of these sugar chains, the A and the B, on your red blood cells. Now your immune system only recognizes these terminal sugars on the sugar chains. So if your blood type is A, you actually could be AA, or you might have a copy of the A gene and a copy of the O gene. And the same is true for B. So you might have 2 copies of the B gene, or you could have a copy of the B gene plus a copy of the O gene. And obviously, if you have an O blood type, you only have the 2 O copies of this gene. So let's talk a little bit about why there are different sugars on these modified proteins. So the sugars are added to the H chain with glycosyltransferases. So these are enzymes that have a special pocket on the protein for a sugar ligand, and they're very specific for that sugar. Remember, proteins that have ligands are very specific. So when the last sugar added to the H chain is galactose, as I mentioned, that's a blood type B. This is a summary of the reaction, just for your information. And the enzyme is beta-1,4-galactosyltransferase. So how do you get the blood type A? So blood type A is actually a mutation in this galactosyltransferase, and this mutation causes a change in the amino acid sequence, or the primary structure of the protein. And that change in the primary sequence changes the structure of the enzyme so that the ligand is no longer going to be galactose, but the ligand is the N-acetyl-galactosamine. And so this mutation causes the enzyme to add that different sugar to the H chain to give you the blood type A. For blood type O, the mutation in the galactosyltransferase actually makes the enzyme inactive. So this enzyme can no longer add a sugar to the terminal end of the H chain. So therefore there's no terminal sugar added in blood type O. So this is really important because if an individual is given a blood transfusion of a different blood type that's incompatible with their own, then the immune system, illustrated here with these little blue antibodies, detects that foreign red blood cell and can cause an immune response that ultimately could lead to the death of the recipient. So it's really important that the terminal sugars of red blood cells in a blood transfusion match the patient's blood type. So, for example, if the patient has A blood type, they could receive blood from donor A. They could not receive blood from donor B because the immune system would recognize that terminal galactose sugar and mount an immune response. Recipient blood type A could not receive blood from an AB blood type for the same reason. This donor has the B terminal sugar, so the immune system would recognize that as foreign. However, an A blood type could receive blood from a donor of O blood type because remember, O blood type doesn't have the terminal sugar for the immune system to recognize, so that would be okay. So I'm going to give you a second to fill in this chart. Hit pause on the video to make sure you have enough time and think about whether recipients A blood type, B blood type, AB blood type, and O blood type could receive blood from these donors. All right, I'm going to reveal the answers, so you might want to hit pause if you haven't had a chance to think through the whole chart. Okay, here are the answers. So you'll notice that O blood type can donate blood to any of the other blood types, and AB blood type can receive blood from any of these donors. However, AB can only donate blood to an AB blood type. And that's why AB blood type is the scumbag blood type, because it can receive from everyone, but it gives to no one.